was reading this book called the Bhagavad Gita, and I know it sounds very weird, but this book again is called the Bhagavad Gita. It's the foundation to the Hindu religion. And the more you study ancient texts, religious texts, you begin to realize that all of these things, all of these writings, these manuscripts are manifestations of the same knowledge. So in my search for truth, I like to explore all truths, all available information. But there's this illustration in this book, the Bhagavad Gita, and it's a chariot. And this chariot is being pulled by 5 horses. On the breastplate of each horse is a sense. So you'll have the nose, the mouth, the eyes, the hands. The driver of this chariot is your intelligence. Your spirit is the observant, it's the companion in the background. If you look at the illustration with your intelligence driving this chariot, you're being pulled by your 5 senses. So when I have lust into my spirit, I'm like, why? I study these things, whether it be sorrow, joy, pain, lust. I ask myself, why is it that I harbor these emotions? I'm being pulled by my senses. If I'm looking at a woman, I'm taking her in my eyes. I like the way she smells, the touch of her skin. But you can lose yourself if you don't control your senses, because you can go out into the street and your senses are just bucking. And an undisciplined mind can be your worst enemy. That's spiritual awareness. Commonality. How can we see commonality within one another? Marcus Aurelius is another man whom I've studied a great deal. The 16th emperor of Rome. And he says, human beings, how can we as human beings from all different parts of the world with different ethnicities, we adhere to many different religions, how can we find common ground? Well, we are all composed of the same elements. Think of it. For every horse or every animal there is, they are all composed of the same elements. Whatever elements that are necessary to create the flesh of an animal, the circulatory system of a horse, the strength of a horse's legs, the strength of its gait, its physical composition, all of these elements come to create a horse. The same thing with the human body. The same elements that compose you, compose me, and compose your neighbor. It's no different with our intelligence. We all have, our intelligence spawns or is created from the same source. We have the same reason. We have the same ability to think, the same intelligent faculties. We come from the same source. So, abstractly or philosophically, I am you and you are me. We're different manifestations of the same source. We just have different experiences. In our experiences, we react to the world differently. So that's why it's so very important to listen to another human being's conversation, because you can certainly learn from their experiences. Commonality. Courage. How important courage is in our lives, because you only live life once, right? You only live life once. It sounds so cliche, but time is so very rapid. Time is so very rapid. I'm 23, and I feel I had a midlife crisis at the age of 20. Like, it's almost checkout time. Excuse me. But courage is extraordinarily necessary. You don't want to live 20 years from now with a handful of regrets. Time is like the flow of a river. For as quickly as this moment is here, you better be prepared, because the next moment is sure to come just as fast or twice as fast. So I like to speak to people about conquering fears. Would any of you like to know what conquering a fear is like?
Sure.
I'm doing it right now. It may not seem like it, but I've had dreams. I feel like my purpose in life is to carry this message of leadership in the 21st century. I've shed tears to get to this point, being directionless, aimless, and without purpose. I've come to this point, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to live my life the way someone else believes I should live my life, or what's traditional. I'm going to pioneer a way. And once you've made that decision, you're going to have to transform yourself to bring your internal reality and make it a physical reality. The habits that you've become accustomed to can no longer apply. The things that used to hold value to you will no longer be significant. You have to never focus on what you fear. You should always focus on what you want. And in doing so, you'll be recreating yourself. The self, the essence, the spirit should be self-knowing and self-creating. Courageousness is most certainly necessary in today's social construct. So with that being said, I'm going to respect the time. I don't want him to boot me off the stage. And if I suck, please save your tomatoes. But I certainly believe that our environment breeds the necessity for leadership in the 21st century, and each and every one of you are leaders in some context. You have your contemporaries, your peers, and even young men and women who look up to you. So please be conscious of how you conduct yourself, and when you're able to provide a jewel to the mind of an elder, a person your age or someone younger, please do so. Because Gandhi says we must be the change we wish to see in the world. And I don't want our generation to be defined by frivolity, procrastination, and intellectual neglect. So thank you very much for your time.